We're back, people, and today we're bringing on film on Xavien Howard, Miami Dolphins cornerback. Obviously, you guys know who he is, one of the better corners in football. Except this year, people have been talking about him like he's regressed, like he kind of sucks now because he's given up a few big touchdowns. But honestly, I think there's a few big reasons for this. That's why I want to make this video. One being, he's obviously been banged up, especially the last couple games. Not looking like himself athletically, just playing a tad bit slower due to the injury. And then two, I think being the main thing, is he has the hardest job in all of football, like one of the hardest jobs in all of football. What he's asked to do, shadowing number ones, and like they don't give him any help. He has such a difficult job. Guarding a number one receiver in football, I think, is the hardest thing to do. And with zero help on these plays that he's giving up big touchdowns, it's just a recipe where you're going to give up big plays eventually. Like, you can't be perfect every snap versus the other team's best player in coverage when you have no help playing press man. So I think it's been a schematic issue. They trust him a lot. And when you're playing banged up, these things start to add up and the big plays will happen eventually. So let's get right into this one. This was the big touchdown that X gave up to T. Higgins. Now, if you just look at the defensive scheme, the plan was just to give X a one-on-one matchup versus Higgins. Higgins is a very good receiver. I know he's their number 2, but he's very good. And then have 2 safeties cheat to the side with Chase. So they were just hard focusing 4 versus 2 to this side and then one-on-one on the backside. Rowe versus a tight end, and then X versus Higgins. Like, this is eventually, they're going to turn into a big play. Like, he even has good coverage here, opening up. He stays in phase, and the biggest problem here is he loses his ball. Like, he was in position to make a play on this ball, but when he turns around, just watch him. You can see him slow down just a touch. He's in phase. He's running step for step with him. Good job getting his hand into that left shoulder. He's playing this perfectly and then turns to locate the football. This is usually where Howard's at his best, getting interceptions, making plays on balls. But when he turns around, he just doesn't see it. He slows down just a step. He doesn't think the ball is coming to Higgins. And then that separation is created because he does not see the football. And then the ball is thrown on Higgins' backside. So if Howard doesn't slow down, he locates the ball. He makes a play on this. It's not a touchdown. It turns into at least a pass deflection, possibly an interception. So it's not Howard's ability to play man-to-man versus other receivers like some people have been saying. It's more of his, this is just one play where you turn around and you just don't see the football. It was on a low trajectory. His eyes were going up to see if it was up in the air, and he just never saw it. He slowed down, saw it too late, and that's going to happen sometimes. It's not always easy to have your back to the football, turn, and then locate the ball perfectly in the air. It's not an area Howard's ever struggled in before, so I'm not worried about this in the future. It's just one of those things that happens. So I don't think he's regressed, really. I just think, a couple unlucky plays have happened. Being in this tough spot, you're going to give up a big play eventually. Even though T. Higgins had a really insane stat line, really good plays, not all of his catches were against Howard. These were a few plays before where Howard actually had pretty good coverage against Higgins. Same situation, cover one, safety, cheating to the other side of the field. So he's just one-on-one, and knows he has no help. So he opens up the gate early, his hips, stays in position. He's in perfect positioning, and then when look back to find the ball again, doesn't get the target this time. They try to throw out the cross to Tyler Boyd, but he had good coverage. He wasn't allowing T. Higgins to separate. It was just that one instance. Like, the only other catches he had was he had a slant, which was like the one time he really got beat on the play, created separation, and then a quick screen where he was playing off and cover 0, which is not really his fault. That was a schematic thing. So I don't think the regression thing is real. He looked good in week 1. He was really good shutting down Devontae Parker. Week 2, I'm going to show some of the Ravens plays, why he gave up a big touchdown there. And then in week 3, he actually looked pretty good overall against Diggs, and he was playing pretty banged up. So I'm not too worried about Xavien Howard. Another pretty good rep, getting physical with Higgins. Higgins is a big body. No help. Again, the safety's cheating over to this side, but this time he's in the slot versus Higgins, and this time he gets to work against a non-vertical route. Good job shooting that hand and then resetting. Pretty high-level CB play here. Shoots the outside hand first, thinking he's going to release to the inside, and then once he releases the outside, you don't want to lock your hips, so he pulls that hand back, resets, gets the left hand on, stays in perfect position over the top, and then feels the break. Ball is thrown slightly outside, is in good positioning to make a play if it was a better throw. And he had good reps against T. Higgins. It was just that one play that people see and they think he just had a terrible game. It was just him not locating the ball. It had nothing to do with the process of staying in position, understanding, showing route anticipation. He knew exactly what was coming. He just turned and thought the ball wasn't being thrown in his direction. So he slowed down just a step and it turned into a big touchdown. The first play of the Bills game, He's in cover 0 here, and they're bringing the house. He's probably in the toughest position here, being number 2 on the backside. This is like in empty. Guarding number 2 on the backside is probably one of the toughest things to do in football and man-to-man. And there's just all this space for Diggs to work with. And when you're running cover 0, you got to get to the quarterback right away. This is on the front, not getting there. Josh Allen has too much time, and Howard is, asked to play a little bit flat-footed too to try to make a read downhill, and he's not expecting them to have this much time, and he still almost makes a play on the ball. So, these are just stats that pile up against him that I wouldn't really consider to be his fault. Plays like this, when you're running cover 0, you got to get there quickly, and Allen has multiple times. Look, he's clean. He's still clean. Never even had pressure really around him, and he delivers that strike to Diggs over the field. Asked to guard their number 1 receiver, one of the best receivers in the league, and Stephon Diggs, and this is just the defensive front not getting there when you're bringing a bunch of pressure, and he has no help to the inside. After that first big play to Diggs, he was actually pretty locked down on Stephon. Like, they were both playing, pretty banged up, both tired in this game. You could tell, but X fought the entire time. Good rep here, getting hands on, staying physical over the top, and then sticks with it. He did a really good job in this game, playing with high effort. There was a lot of times Allen creates after the catch, so he knew to stick with it. And this is also just a good rep from the beginning. Feeling this route break, stays square, stays patient, good footwork, inches back, and then once Diggs commits to the outside, he forces him, maintains his leverage, stays over at top high upfield shoulder, and then based on his positioning, he turned back in to the receiver to look towards the football. So he does a really good job of understanding that. Just that one touchdown, he just didn't see the ball. And then he locks down the initial route, then it turns into a broken play. He sticks with it, and then if he has a chance to make a play at the catch point, he's in close enough to get the ball, hands-on ball, he's going to make a play on the ball. Here's X making one of the biggest plays in the Bills game. At the end of the game, they're going down to drive, and he gets picked here by his own teammate, but sticks with it. Great eye discipline, change of direction, really good job. Working against these broken plays, this is the effort I'm talking about. Just watch him here, working on the drag, knows he has help to the inside, so he's keeping his outside leverage, but almost runs into his own teammate here, so he has to go around. And Diggs gets caught up too, sees him start to change direction. Really good job mirroring and matching that. And then once he commits, gets his eyes back to Allen, locates the ball, and then almost gets the interception. Not too worried about X maybe dropping some of these. He's obviously shown that he has the capability of catching interceptions. He's been one of the best at it for many years now. But just big time play. This is also one of the 90th snaps the defense has played in this game. So he's probably a little exhausted. Look at him trying to get up there, but not too worried about X at all. Just hope once he's healthy 100%, there will still be plays he gives up. He's always been a guy that will give up a big play here and there just based on the nature of the defense that they run. That's going to happen. Every corner that is playing press man-to-man all the time, they're going to give a big play. But when I'm watching X play in zone coverage, I didn't even put any zone coverage reps in here because he just wasn't getting targeted. He was just playing good zone defense, understanding his job, and people weren't coming into the zone because it's a lot easier for a corner to play in zone coverage. I put this play in here because it was the last play of the Bills game, and something like this just goes unnoticed. This is one of the biggest moments in the game. This is just a veteran savvy play, and he's not doing anything here. He's just sitting in his zone, and then once McKenzie gets the ball, just watch the angle that he takes here. Sees that he's trying to get out of bounds, adjust his angle to the outside to force McKenzie back to the inside, then trips him up to then get help from Ingram there to get the tackle, and he stays in bounds. And he is exhausted. He is hurt. He has a groin injury at this point. He's exhausted. He's played a bunch of snaps. He's been guarding guys man-to-man all game, and he makes one of the biggest plays in the game that just goes unnoticed by adjusting your angle, forcing him back to the inside, gets tackled inbounds, and then they run out of time. They only have 9 seconds at that point, and then the game ends because they couldn't clock the ball. X put into another tough position, cover 0, no help to the middle, but this time playing press man-to-man. One of the hardest things to do in football right here, press man-to-man with no help, and they have a bunch of time. But he does play this bad. This was probably his worst rep, technically wise. He opens up the gate too early. They motion over, so this is pretty good stuff by the Ravens. They motion over, bump him down, so he's a little late into his stance. He tries to then open up the gate early so he doesn't get beat deep. And then once you open up that gate, you just give him that inside track as a receiver. You've already run the route. And Bateman's a pretty good player too. He shows some pretty good fluidity to try to recover here, flipping his hips back that way. But you have no help to the middle. He catches it in stride, and Bateman's got solid speed. and he's just not able to catch him. And this was probably his worst rep of the season, giving up this big touchdown. Like the T. Higgins one, there wasn't anything really wrong with him just not seeing the ball, but this one he actually just played this route poorly. And but also still in one of the toughest positions in all of football. But would love to see him play this a little bit better, but I'm not too worried about this in the future once he's healthy. The infamous cover zero that the Dolphins love to run. Everyone lined up, like 7-8 yards off the ball in a row right here. But this time they get exactly what they want. With the Allen one, he was just dropping back, got a bunch of time. This time you get the one quick step drop from Lamar. You're just reading the quarterback size. He lets the ball go quickly, and Howard doesn't take any steps back and closes. Would love to see him catch this. This is not usually X's type of thing, like to drop this ball. This actually would have taken the lead. But just look how, he still has the goods. People think he's regressed, but look at this play and tell me he doesn't have what it takes. Sitting on this, really good anticipation. Look how quickly he is moving. Lamar has not even cocked the ball back yet, and he's already breaking on this. Great route anticipation, and he closes. That quickness right there, that burst. Just would love to see this turn into an interception, but he's a very opportunistic player. He's going to give up big plays, but he makes up for it by making huge plays when they matter most. This is late in the game. We need to stop here, and X is a guy who will always make those big plays in those big time moments. Go back to week one. It's like people just forgot about week one. When you have a fully healthy X in man-to-man coverage versus, a bigger receiver, Devontae Parker. Parker isn't the best receiver. All Dolphins fans know that. But when he's healthy, he's still a solid player, and I'm pretty sure Parker was pretty healthy coming into this game. But week one, X played phenomenal. Forces the interception here, plays perfect coverage. This time able to locate the ball, and he plays the ball perfectly based on his positioning, and then gets Javon the interception. But good job. Stays square, stays patient, knows the player that Devontae Parker is going against him in practice, sees the body language to go vertically. He opens up, stays on his high upfield shoulder, knowing that he was inside the divider, not going to have help outside here, and then plays this ball perfectly based on his positioning, turning into the receiver, tips the ball up to Holland. A high, nuanced, just savvy play from Xavien Howard. Last play that I'm going to break down, another cover zero rep for Howard. They end up calling illegal contact on this. This is 4th and 1, and they're throwing the ball deep. The illegal contact was really ticky-tacky. I personally don't think it was a foul, but he plays this perfectly right in the hip pocket of Parker, gets over the top, repositioning at the last moment. Just high-level stuff from him. We'll go back, watch this. Gets hands-on. I don't know what they're calling. They're calling illegal contact there. That was still within 5 yards. Then he's just right in the hip pocket, readjusts to get over the top, tracks this ball all the way through, and then times the jump perfectly. Hits the ball right when Parker hits it. So just still showing that he's capable of making these plays at the catch point, being a lockdown guy. Week 1, he looked really good. Week 2, he gave up that big catch to Bateman. And other than that, it was still not that bad. He looked good against Diggs in week 3, considering how much the defense was on the field and the coverages they were playing. And then while being banged up with 2 groin injuries, playing against week 4 with no help over the top, you're going to probably give up a big play, especially when the big play wasn't even you just getting beat. It was just you not locating the football within the air. So if you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.